You won't tell us right now? What does Miss Carol think of her kids?
She thinks we're all little.
Oh no!
The Rugrats were once the most successful franchise Nickelodeon had to offer. Toys were flying off shelves, the movie broke box office records, and the series changed the course of animation history forever. So how did the spin-off of what was once Nickelodeon's most successful series get cancelled after only 3 days? There's a lot to unpack here, so bear with me, but before we start, join the Discord. Link is in the bio, it is in the description. We talk about all things animation and animation fandom, so feel free to join if you feel like it. The Rugrats pretty much ruled the 90s as one of the network's first big 3. Doug, Ren and Stimpy, and of course the Rugrats all made their debuts in a 90-minute block as the network's first Nicktoons. This was big. For a while it seemed like every decade had its own theme and formula for success. To put it briefly, the 60s were simple and sometimes psychedelic. The 70s were full of fictional bands, superpowered friends, and celebrity endorsements, but there was a change in how these cartoons were received by fans. Cartoons weren't just a way to pass the time anymore. Fans were starting to invite their favorite cartoon characters and celebrities into their homes. So naturally, the studios in charge of making these cartoons would try to take advantage of that in the 80s. But how would they do that exactly? Toys. Toys were the next key to entering the home of fans, and what better way to market to them than through cartoons? So instead of giving creators their artistic freedom to make the cartoons that they wanted, they now demand that shows be made for no other reason than to market to kids sitting in front of the television. That's not to say these shows were bad, not at all. I'm a huge Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan and my dad loves him some He-Man, but these shows were made with the toys in mind first. And it worked. Kids ate it up.
Your turtle towel, your turtle toothbrush, consult your watch for turtle time, get your slippers and your turtle underdacks or your turtle apron, grab your turtle cookies, and if the cartoons haven't started, there's time to read your turtle comics, sniffing all the while turtle air freshener. Turtles.
So, no more creativity-driven cartoons. Advertising to children was becoming the norm for the medium. Until...
Monster in the house, robot on the loose, runaway train, hey Chucky, grab the caboose. Rugrats, the things you get into.
On August 11th of 1991, Nickelodeon would attempt to break the norm by advertising not just cartoons coming to the network, but creator-driven cartoons coming back. And the Rugrats would be the forefront of attention for media and fans alike. So naturally, Nickelodeon would want to capitalize on their success, making the first non-Disney animated movie to make $100 million at the box office, and multiple sequels after that. But the decade was coming to an end. The children who had grown up with those babies were now 10 years older. Times were changing, and besides Dill being added and Chucky getting a sister, the babies had pretty much stayed the same. Nickelodeon knew it was time to expand, so they planned 2 spin-off series. One of those being Rugrats Preschool Daze, and we'll save the other one for later in the video. But airing on March 13th of 2006, Rugrats Preschool Daze would star Angelica and Susie as they go through preschool, meeting new enemies and making new friendships as they go. Unlike any other Rugrats spin-off, Preschool Daze had a completely new art style compared to their previous entries. That classic Klasky Supo style that the Rugrats in the first season of The Simpsons were infamous for was now gone, being replaced with this new, very clean-cut style that clashes with the style that came before. Not necessarily a terrible thing, but the whole point of the Rugrats style was their imperfections, so it's pretty weird seeing the Rugrats characters drawn in such a simplistic art style. But I digress. The show would almost exclusively take place at school, so of course we wouldn't see Tommy or Chucky or any of the original kids. And maybe that's for the best, considering the fact that the new art style looks like somebody just baseball batted cocaine into a daycare. But despite not getting any of the OG babies to make an appearance, their home life wasn't shown either. We'd obviously get to see plenty of Susie and Angelica though. Susie is just like she was before. She's the responsible one who holds Angelica accountable for her actions, while Angelica on the other hand still feels like herself, just not as much as she used to.
But now I don't. I took the key, but I didn't mean to lose it. I Just wanted to get back at Savannah.
Angelica, answer the question.
Angelica, answer the question.
Are you mimicking me?
Are you mimicking me?
Are you aware you're in a court of law?
Are you aware you're in a court of law?
Stop it!
Stop it!
She's pretty tame here. Instead of being blatantly mean, she's just unconventional and accidentally causes problems that Susie ultimately has to clean up. Your typical episode would see the new popular girl Savannah Shane bragging about something, which makes Angelica jealous and causes her to try to save face by pretending she has something to brag about herself. Of course she's lying, so she then go to extreme lengths to prove herself, but ends up just making the situation worse. Which leads to Susie cleaning up her mess and attempting to let Angelica know that she does not have anything to prove to anyone. A lesson that Angelica immediately forgets, and then the plot repeats for the next 4 episodes. Interestingly enough, we were supposed to get our introductions to some of these characters here before we did in All Grown Ups. Like Samantha, who is Angelica's antagonist in All Grown Ups, we see the backstory behind them in Preschool Days. And Harold makes a series regular return in this and All Grown Ups. And even my man Baljeet makes an appearance in here before he does in Dorito Guy and Ferb. So clearly this show was supposed to be the jumping off point for some of these characters. So why'd it go wrong? Well, clearly it wasn't supposed to. Nickelodeon ordered a total of 13 episodes and Preschool Days managed to air a total of 4. Making Rugrats Preschool Days not only Nickelodeon's fastest canceled series, but its shortest series ever. Weirdly enough, it wasn't because the network didn't like it. They weren't embarrassed of it or ashamed. It wasn't offensively bad either. I mean, critics didn't love it, and it felt really generic to what came before, landing only a 3 out of 10 on IMDb, and while that didn't help its case, it wasn't the cause of its downfall either. Nick's plate was just getting full, especially with the success of SpongeBob, so of course that meant having to move things around the schedule. And it was a little hard to make room for a Rugrats spinoff. In fact, they already had one airing at the same time.
3, 2, 1!
Remember when I said that the kids who grew up with the Rugrats were now a decade older? Who needs a spinoff that takes place during a preschool when we could instead have one where all the characters that we've grown up with have now grown up themselves? Preschool Days was originally announced in 2002, right before All Grown Ups were there, and was highly anticipated, but had its once 13 episodes cut down to 4 quote-unquote specials so the network could focus on All Grown Ups. So Preschool Days as a series was pretty much put on hold. The network wasn't really sure what they wanted to do with it. They already put 4 episodes into production and didn't want to shelve them, but couldn't bring back Preschool Days for a full run because All Grown Ups have been doing so well in ratings. Nickelodeon was put in a really tough spot, but either way, it was clear this puppy was getting neutered before it would even have a chance. So in 2005, Paramount Home Video Entertainment released all 4 episodes as extras on the Rugrats Tales of the Crib DVDs. The first 2 episodes were released on the Snow White DVD, and 3 and 4 were released on the 3 Jacks and a Beanstalk DVD. And I remember seeing advertisement for that DVD as a kid, but I definitely don't remember them mentioning Preschool Days being a part of that. So if you own that DVD, you own an important piece of Rugrats history. But Nickelodeon would wait 3 years to air these episodes in November of 2008 to December of the same year. And that will be the last we get to see of Susie and Angelica's Preschool Days. The idea of a Rugrats spinoff isn't anything foreign, but for some reason, the idea of an Angelica spinoff has always interested me. Angelica's mother loves her but doesn't always have time to be there. Her father spoils her but can't always be around. She has no siblings, 2 parents who don't have much time for her, so I'd imagine that it gets very quiet in her house, which is probably why she has an over-reliance on her doll Cynthia and refuses to let her go. Because Cynthia in her mind is truly the only one person who is always there. I know she eventually grows out of Cynthia in All Grown Ups, but I'd like to believe that the reason that she grew out of Cynthia was because Susie was there to make her feel wanted. I feel like this show could have been a great way to build towards that, so personally that's more of what I would have wanted to see. But either way, I'm satisfied with All Grown Ups, and I'm happy that we got to see this too. Because this is definitely a series that Nickelodeon could have easily put on a shelf and hid away forever. Variety's Brian Steinberg thought that this series could have been used as the premise for the show's reboot, with Tommy and the gang being in preschool and Angelica and Susie being in kindergarten. But unfortunately, That would never come to be, with us instead getting the CG Rugrats reboot that was cancelled and then removed from streaming, so I guess we get nothing after all. But I'm sure this isn't the end for these bumbling babies. It's only a matter of time before Nick greenlights another reboot for them. And whenever that happens, I'll be here. But I'll leave it to you. Is the world done with the Rugrats? Is a reboot necessary? Feel free to let me know in the comments, and as always, I genuinely appreciate you watching.
What do big kids want? More air! More moves! More half pipes! More food. Big kids want to be treated like big kids.
So you can come to Burger King and get a Burger King Big Kids meal served your way with more great tasting food, fun, and of course, a cool toy.
This is the bestest treehouse I've ever seen.
Wouldn't you like to build your own Rugrats treehouse? Now you can at Burger King.
Scram.
You can collect all 8 toys. The more you stack, the bigger the treehouse. One Rugrats treehouse toy comes in every kid's meal. Taste rule.